so our assignment that we came up with was, what would 3 things be that we would want to ask Sherrone Moore as we get closer and closer to the first game of the season? I already know the questions that I have. He wouldn't answer them at all. That's just how coaches roll, right? You ask them something very specific, they're usually not going to give you a full straight answer. I don't know what you came up with. You don't know what I came up with, but we'll alternate. We'll go back and forth, and then we'll kind of discuss what we came up with. So, would you like to kick us off, or do you want me to throw mine out there first?
Sure, I'll kick us off. I'll get us going here. I like this little back and forth here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I kind of had that same mindset too. Like, all right, what's he going to really answer up there? Like, role playing here. Like, it put myself in that, situation. And I think mine are more so tailored to get some answers out, but like not necessarily bring coaches, barriers up, right? Because, I want to get an answer out of them. So these may not be the most need to know questions that you hear, but
Grant's already a veteran. He's already a veteran with this, because there is a balance. If you ask the wrong question or in the wrong way or with the wrong word, you'll get a wall. Like, they'll just throw a wall up and that's it. So you got to massage it a little bit. You got to go in easy and word it in a certain way. And maybe I'm obviously not asking Sherrone Moore for real on this episode. So we'll see how I choose to word mine. But Grant, if you would, what is the question that you would lead off with asking Sherrone Moore out in Vegas?
Yeah, so I'd say, hey, coach, you're going into your second year as a head coach. What's something that you learned in year 1 that you're going to carry into year 2? And just something simple. Just want to see what he says. Year 1, there was 5 up and down, right? There was 5 losses. I want to see if, there's something in there that he learned in those losses, or maybe it was something in the wins that he learned, about his team, or maybe it was something in the back end of the season. How they finished strong, beating Bama, beating Ohio State, right? Just want to pick his mind, something light, but something to get the conversation rolling, if you will.
I think that's a great question too, because you're talking about, in large part, a bunch of new guys on the staff. You're breaking in a new quarterback. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that he hopefully can take from last year and improve on, and then obviously change some things up. As you said, losing 5 games in year 1 probably wasn't on his to-do list. And so he's going to want to do some things differently and, try to find out how to right those wrongs. And like you said, they did finish on a great note. I mean, whether you take a little bit of a grain of salt in the last game of the season with guys sitting out, and Michigan probably had more impact guys out than Bama did, but still found a way to win. You get another one against Ohio State. So I think there were some things to really build on heading into the offseason. So I like it. That's a good one. Nice and open-ended. Let Coach Moore really kind of go where he wants to with it. That's really when you ask questions of coaches and players, really, there's kind of 2 ways to do it. You can leave a very open-ended question and let them run with it, and they'll often talk a little bit. Or you can try to get real specific. Sometimes they'll answer, sometimes they won't. I have a pretty vague one as well to lead off. I would ask him, Coach Moore, how different will we expect the offense to look under Coach Chip Lindsey? And I would assume that he would still mention physicality, and he will still mention running the football, and he will still mention getting things established and getting ahead of the chains early. I think those are all things. I mean, that's football. Every coach wants to do those things.
Yep.
It has shown that they really want to do those things, especially under Coach Sherrone Moore as a former offensive lineman, former offensive line coach, 30-plus runs in a row against Penn State on the road. Mm-hmm. We've seen it. We know that's what they want to do. But Chip Lindsey is going to bring a new element, and so I'd be curious to see what he would say. I think Ernest Hausman, when he was talking to the analysts on Big Ten Network, he said, he said the same thing. We're still Michigan. We're still going to do this, but we got some things down the field, though, with Coach Lindsey, and we're excited about that. And that's about as far as he went. And I wouldn't expect Coach Moore to say much more than that, but I am very curious about what the offense will look like.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think 98%, 99% of the fan base is wondering that as well. And all you can do really is go back and watch, the spring game snaps. And even with the spring game, right, you're not getting week 1 stuff. Like they're just putting in basic week 1 install plays that are very vanilla, that don't give away too much. Just the base plays that every team runs, power, counter, just whatever your system is, you're going to implement those things, run them in the spring, and then save your good stuff for fall camp and then get it ran week 1 and still in week 1. So you're not going to show everything. So it's going to be like an onion. We're going to peel it back. We're going to start seeing new things each week. And I think that the interesting thing with Chip Lindsey is going to be, just watching how he navigates each team in the Big Ten, right? Because some teams you're going to get more man coverage, you're going to get more zone, and you're going to have a young quarterback in Bryce Underwood. So I want to see each week, how does Chip Lindsey help Bryce Underwood take on a Maryland, and I may say Maryland, we might even play them. I think we do play them at the later end of the year, but how do you take on a team that's playing cover 1 mainly versus a team that's playing, a 2 high cover 4, right? So that's where I want to see how the offense differs with Chip Kelly week to week, and see how the team grows and adapts with that offense.
All right, question number 2, Grant. What do you got? What do you got for Coach Moore? Question 2.
All right, Coach Moore. So we've been talking about Chip Lindsey, Bryce Underwood. I'm going to stay down that same plane. All right, Coach. We all know Bryce is special. He's uber talented. 1-1, right? He was the highest ranked recruit last year. So many of his traits come as no surprise, right? His height, his speed, right? When you get next to him, you understand that he's so athletic and he can do so many things. What's one thing about Bryce that has surprised you, though? What's one thing that he's done that's been like, man, like, I know he was fast, I know he could throw, but I didn't know he could do this. Okay. That's how I'd ask him, and I'd see what I get, right? Maybe something off the field, maybe some cerebral, some intellectual work or something. I don't know. Just looking for a little fun fact on the kid.
Well, we've talked about this before. That he oozes charisma. He's done the talk show stuff already. He's a local celebrity. He's got big NIL dollars. I mean, he's like a pro, but he's 17, 18 years old. I mean, it's crazy. I would be very curious to see what Coach Moore would say about that, because times are different than even when you were in school. The profile that these kids have coming out of high school now because of NIL and because of endorsement deal. I mean, he's on the cover of the video game already. He's never even played a snap. So it is a different world, and that is a great question. You can only learn so much about a kid from his Instagram page or seeing his highlight cut-ups, but he's got all the personality in the world. He handled, the Rich Eisen show us and I wouldn't call it a serious sit-down interview, but that's high-level interview type stuff. Mm-hmm. And he looked as comfortable as you can imagine. So I would be very intrigued to see what Coach Moore would say about that too, the cerebral side of things, like you mentioned, or some fun fact about Bryce Underwood. All right, I'm sticking to offense as well, but I'm going with the big fellas up front. Coach Moore, you got a game tomorrow. Who's starting on the O-line? And he's not answering that one.
But you pound on the table and you want answers, man.
I need answers. So this is what I would do if I was rolling out Michigan's team tomorrow and they needed to start 5 up front. I'm going Andrew Sprague at left tackle. I'm going Nathan Ifobi at left guard. I really think that 4 of the spots are pretty solidified. I'll say that. And I think left guard is the one where I don't really know, but I would lean Nathan Ifobi. Center, Greg Crippen. Right guard, Gio El-Hadi. And right tackle, Evan Link. I think that's what you get. Now back to left guard. I think there could be some, maybe a little bit of a battle there. I don't know. Ifobi seems to make the most sense, but Michigan did get Brady Norton out of the transfer portal. He's more of a tackle, but he's played a decent amount of football. He was a freshman All-American. I think it was Cal Poly. I didn't write down the school. If I'm mistaken there, I apologize. But he was a coveted prospect coming out. Michigan landed him. He's more of a tackle build. He's under 300 pounds. But I would think he could play left guard if you needed him to, and Michigan doesn't have a for sure answer there. Andrew Babalola is another one, 5-star kid, but a freshman. That's tough. And then Blake Frazier, same thing, another young player who's more of a tackle, but I think could maybe play guard if you needed him to. So I'm going to Ifobi at left guard, and I think the other 4 spots are pretty set in my head anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I've been seeing Ifobi's and getting some good. Some good circulation here lately. I like that. I like that as well. And just for the Michigan fan base out there, like if there's a time and place in which these linemen, like you hope that they're in the right hands, it's right now. For one, obviously we have a young and emerging, 30 under 30 coach and Grant Newsome. Sherrone Moore, our head coach, obviously former offensive lineman, left tackle. I think it was left tackle, but played tackle at Oklahoma. Juan Castillo is in the building. Legendary coach. Tree links up with Andy Reid, with the Eagles when he was the Eagles at that time. I spent some time with Juan Castillo. Man, he taught me a lot about the inside the trench, the run game, and the thing about Castillo is he loves getting the one-on-one time. So he'll take everybody and anybody and just get the one-on-one walkthrough reps. Hey, we're going to run it through. So those 3 guys, there's another guy as well on staff that's working with him as well. I forgot his name at the moment, but we got guys in the factory pushing things out, got guys working. I'm excited to see what we put out there.
For sure. And last but not least, Grant, question number 3 for Coach Moore from you on media days.
Question 3. I feel like I should go defense, but like
mine are all offense too. I didn't even do that on purpose, but they were.
I'll do a 2-part. I'll do a 2-part, and I'll include a defense here because I gotta show love to the receivers, and I gotta know what's going on, man. I gotta get some insight. So not really a related 2-part question, excuse me, but throw in some defense in there, see if we get a response out of Coach Moore. So question 3.
Question is also wide receiver oriented. So let's see what we didn't plan this, but let's see how similar these are.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So just to touch on the defense, there was rumors in the offseason that Jaysean Barnum was going to be putting his hand in the dirt. I want to know, is that packages? Is that, looking like it's going to be a stationary, like he's going to line up 3 downs with his hand in the dirt? Or is he going to, rotate? I just, and you don't got to give away any secrets, Coach, but give me a wink if he's putting his hand in the dirt, because that's going to be exciting if we're going to be able to move him around like that. So that would be my defensive part to get the defense in. And then offensively, for receivers, say, got to show love to my guys, Coach. Last year we know the passing game was under construction. This year we've added some portal pieces and some younger guys, and have an opportunity to step up and take a step forward. Who's a receiver that's really had a solid offseason that you expect to make an impact this fall?
Okay, you were a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for?
I like to add a little. I like to wine them and dine them a little bit, and then come in with like, hey, Coach, I know it was under construction, like, using soft terms, not saying it was bad or saying we didn't throw the ball well. Hey, we're working on it.
He would give Grant a dap and a hug and thank you, and he would kick me out because my question was, Coach, do you even have a wide receiver 1 right now? Obviously, I would never ask it that way. I've been around long enough to know how to put these questions out there. But that's ultimately what I would want to know, and we're kind of asking the same thing.
Yeah, we're meeting right at the fork in the road.
Yeah, I mean, you're real quick on Barham, 6'3", 250, big enough to play off the edge, certainly athletic enough to get after the quarterback. I'm with you. It feels like. Because he's good in space too. I mean, I think putting him in with his hand in the dirt or whatever the stand-up is, whatever, coming off the edge every time, I think is maybe a slight misuse of his overall abilities. But if he ends up knocking down double-digit sacks, then you won't have anybody complaining about that.
Yeah.
I am curious to see, is he going to play the more traditional linebacker position sometimes, and maybe on your cheetah package or third down or whatever, obvious passing situations, you put him more over on the edge. So that'll be interesting to see. And then, we'll finish up with wide receiver discussion here. As you mentioned, the transfer portal, Donovan McCulley, 6'5", 200 pounds, Anthony Simpson from UMass, smaller guy. And then you've got Samaj Morgan, you've got Frederick Moore, and a couple of freshmen maybe to keep an eye on, Andrew Marsh and Jamar Browder, who is listed at 6'5", 208. So as big as McCulley is, Browder, the true freshman, is actually bigger than him on the roster by 8 pounds. So you got a couple big-bodied guys there who really look the part. Grant, this is your wheelhouse, man. It's your area of expertise. If you had to pick one of these guys, do you think there's an obvious choice of who will lead the team in receptions? And what do you need from each one to make the what term can we use? What's the next phase after under construction? Like, are we getting to like completely usable? Are we to excelling? Like, where do you need the passing attack to be?
That's a good question. So let's figure out a word for. So last year we were under construction, and this year I hope we are rejuvenated.
Okay, that's a nice word. That's a nice word.
Right. It feels rejuvenated, right? There's a breath of fresh air. Like we saw a difference in the offseason, the system in which Chip Lindsey came in and brought with him obviously made a difference. These guys are catching balls, getting first downs. So I think the easy answer is to say Donovan McCulley. I think that's the easy and the safest answer. If I were to give you a hot take right now, my hot take would be Klein is up there for leader in receptions. Maybe not so much yards.
Tight ends, yeah.
But I could see him being a top 2, top 3 guy in the first few weeks, like just being a guy that Bryce consistently finds closest to the line of scrimmage. Just a tight end's a safety blanket for young quarterbacks. But I'm going to go ahead and say it's hard though, because he didn't have much spring run. But I am curious to see what Anthony Simpson brings. I think, giving Samaj Morgan a little bit of competition in the slot, I think that's only going to make his game better. I think Anthony Simpson has obviously shown that he knows how to play the position. He's came from UMass. He got injured for the 24 season, so he didn't play much last year. But that 23 season, I think he had 700 plus yards, 30 to 40 catches. So he's shown that he can do it. Now it's the bright lights are on. The big house is your stage. So let's see what you got, young fella. So I'm gonna go Anthony Simpson for my dark horse. Hot take: Martin Klein leads. Easy answer. Safest is Donovan McCulley.
I'm trying to do a real quick look here just to see who has been the most productive wherever they've been, and I know that's kind of a.
It's fun because Anthony and McCulley kind of had similar, like 24. The 24 season obviously led to them transferring, but like they didn't play much. They didn't it just wasn't their year. The 24 season for those guys.
23 season, on the other hand, pretty productive for both of them.
For both, yeah. And then I'm also like, let me not sleep on the younger guys. Like I'm interested. Like I want to know what Goodwin's gonna do. Like. I've been hearing good things about him. Like Andrew Marsh as well. Like Fred Moore is another guy. Like it's one of those moments. Like it's just like, man, the opportunity is there. Who wants it? Like who wants to step up? Like, and if you show that you can be a guy that knows his plays, knows where to line up, can run the route, can be a consistent guy. I mean, that's how I played all 4 years. So like, I know all these guys are more athletic than I am. So opportunity's there, man. Someone just got to go take it.
So
take it.
Just for comparison's sake, and again, it's kind of pointless because different times, they're not even on this. They weren't even on the same team when they were doing these things. But let's start with the 2 guys who have been at Michigan. Samaj Morgan's career high in receptions in a season is 27. Young guy, a couple seasons under his belt. Fred Moore, just 11. So not a ton of production out of those 2 guys who are coming back and who have been at Michigan, but obviously now freshman quarterback, new OC. So it might as well be a fresh start for them as well. Donovan McCulley in 2023 had 48 catches. Mind you, this was after playing quarterback for several years at Indiana. So that's always something to keep in consideration. He's not even a full-time wide receiver throughout his college career. And then your dark horse, Anthony Simpson, 57 catches in 2023 at UMass.
57, damn.
We're talking about a pretty established guy there before getting hurt and leaving after last year. And also, just to throw this out there, Colston Loveland, borderline generational talent, top 10 NFL draft pick, big time talent. He had 56 catches for Michigan last year. Colston Loveland.
56. And I apologize about my camera here. My camera's dying, but my mic's on.
Oh, I thought you were just being very, very still. No, I saw that we were having a little technical issue over there. While Grant gets that figured out, we can still hear you. It'll be all right for the podcast. Just, all the guys out there that like looking at Grant Perry might not get to see his face here for a couple minutes. We're almost done. We're putting a bow on this thing as we finish up here. I think it is very interesting. Marlon Klein, I do expect him to be very productive. Anthony Simpson has done it before, although playing at UMass is not the same thing as playing at Michigan. And you wonder how that will transfer. And again, we're talking about a new QB and a new OC. So we'll see. And then we mentioned a couple of the young guys who haven't really gotten going yet. Andrew Marsh and Jamar Browder, true freshmen. And then Channing Goodwin, who I think is going into his second year, if I'm not mistaken, but didn't really play last year, maybe special teams. So there's talent in the room. There's a lot of different kinds of bodies. There's a lot of different levels of production, whether it be at Michigan or somewhere else. And then you do have to factor in, you throw the tight ends into the mix. Certainly the running backs will be involved in some way, shape, or form. Marion Hampton, quite productive as a receiver at UNC under Chip Lindsey. So we'll see how that looks. And after that, we let Sherrone Moore, go on his way after we grew up and he can he can hop on the PJ and head back to Ann Arbor.
We corner him. I just had a kind of a visual there. Like what we just did was good cop, bad cop. We just cornered Sherrone in the hallway of the Siesta in Vegas. We're like, hey, dude, and you went bad cop. You went a little bit. Hey, who's your receiver one? Tell me
Who you
now.
starting O-line, coach? Come on.
Who's your top five? And then I'm over here like, coach, we're under construction. I know we're taking it light. Like it's just that's funny. That's a thought that just came to my head.
Like I said, I would probably lean into it a little more gentle than that if I was actually there. But no, I mean, you know, you want to give these guys a chance to talk, but there's a balance, man. You want direct information. You know they're not going to give away everything. You know they're going to keep things close to the vest. But you want answers to your questions. As media people, you've got an angle. You're trying to write a certain story. You're looking for answers, and sometimes you get them, and sometimes you don't. And some coaches are much more open. Coaches at Michigan have never been that open. That's just the way they roll, and it's just how it is. And you know, Harbaugh was like that, and Sherrone Moore is probably even more tight-lipped. If I'm being honest, love the dude. I've had a relationship with him since he was at CMU, so I'm a big Sherrone Moore fan. But he's got coach speak pretty well figured out, and you know, it is what it is, man. Let the play on the field do the talking, and we can talk about it afterwards. But that's our little 6-pack of questions, man. I feel pretty good about that as we put a bow on this episode. Grant, it's 37 days, young man.
Let's go, man.
Jared Irons days until Michigan kicks off the 2025 season. I asked Siri how many days until August 30th. She said 37. 37. And then immediately I was like, that's Jared Irons. I remember. That's a weird football number. Would you want 37, Grant?
Would I?
Yeah.
I mean, if it would make me an All-American and send me to the NFL, absolutely.
That's not a bad answer.
That's funny. That's funny. It's funny timing though, because when I went back in the spring, we were all there helping out, talking to recruits and stuff, and Jarrett was up there and got to meet him for the first time, and he's a really nice dude, cool guy, man.
So I will end on this, man. As me and Grant got ready to record, I was doing some cleaning out in my house. Folks, just take a look. I know for the people listening audio only, who's that? Who's that young man right there?
That's a young GP right there, man.
That's a young GP getting it done at a Michigan camp in the big house. I found the 2015 recruiting issue of the Wolverine magazine where I used to work. Me and Grant had an interesting trip down memory lane before we started recording. Pretty cool stuff, Grant. You'll have that awesome forever, man. That winged helmet, that experience, man. Hey, I'm jealous. Hey,
I'm blessed, man. It was a hell of a time.
Absolutely. And we're having a hell of a time doing this. That's what I couldn't believe. Like I wrote the article. You're 17 years old, probably. Like we've talked about, that full circle stuff's pretty cool. So he's Grant. I'm Brandon. There's 33 minutes of Michigan football here on July the 24th as Michigan and 3 players are out in Vegas. Grant and I are doing our thing for Michigan. We'll be back in a couple days to talk about some of the quotes that we see from Sherrone Moore from the players, and obviously whatever needs to be discussed. So thanks everybody for listening.